The purpose of this meeting is to call the Genesis members of the Eden community together. We are starting something new with the goal of bringing the EOS community together, creating life, liberty, property, justice for all, and really bootstrapping the EOS ecosystem. So the core concept that we are introducing is a peace treaty. This is an agreement that is sort of universal, that we're all agreeing to as members of the community. And as we add new members to the community, everyone has to agree to this peace treaty. And this peace treaty that we're going to go over here in this meeting today and then ratify is the minimal set of consensus, the things that we all agree on, the process by which all future governance is going to occur. And the purpose of the peace treaty is to elect representatives who we're going to entrust with power to execute on behalf of the community. So the peace treaty is intentionally kept very short, and it establishes the bare minimum that each new member must agree to, the process by which people are elected, and the process by which bylaws, which are additional rules that apply to members, are added or removed or changed. All of this is, we've been talking about this for a while, so you should be familiar with a lot of the premises in this process. So I'm going to read the peace treaty. It's also here in front of you. Then we're going to do a question and answer. If anyone has any questions about why it is what it is, we'll do that. And then we're going to go through and have each person introduce themselves in 30 seconds or less and indicate that you agree to the terms of the peace treaty. So without further ado, let me go through the peace treaty here. The size of an independent Eden community shall not exceed 10,000 members. Leaders shall be elected by the following process. Members will be randomly organized into groups of 12 or less. Each group must select a representative from their group with 2/3 plus 1 approval. The process shall then repeat fractally by randomly grouping the representatives approved in the previous round until a single lead representative is chosen. Elections shall occur at least annually or may be triggered by a petition of 10% of the membership or according to the bylaws. The community may adopt bylaws which contain all rules, processes, regulations that are binding on anyone who wishes to remain a member. The level of representation there's a number of things that apply to this. The level of representation that voted in the lead representatives shall be known as the board. So when we have our pyramid of representatives, there's going to be the final 10 or so. If you have 1,000 in groups of 10, you have a group of 10. So that would be known as the board. The active board can propose a set of bylaws which are indivisible. It's just an entire thing. So there's a proposed, this is what the new bylaws of the organization will be. It should be a single document. They can propose it, but it cannot be ratified until after the next election, and there's a new board in place, the following board will ratify. This is to provide some stability to prevent somebody from getting into power that is not and rapidly changing the laws without the whole community having a chance to review the change to the bylaws and elect people who will then approve the changes. So the lead representative is basically the executive that can operate within the bylaws. So you could do that. And then the board can propose a new set of bylaws. It has to be approved by 2/3 plus 1. That's sort of the Byzantine fault tolerant consensus that we're going for with everything we're doing with Eden. Bylaws may not override, change, or eliminate, or extend the process of the peace treaty. And this is a membership-only organization, which means you have to be invited and that you can leave at any time, and that the community can ask you to leave at any time. But the rules governing that are part of the bylaws. But the peace treaties just acknowledges that it is a invite-only system. And last but not least, the peace treaty may be amended by a direct 2/3 plus vote of all members. This is to, if there's a major change that needs to occur, we can do this. This is the equivalent of a hard fork in the blockchain world. The peace treaty is the equivalent of the block size limit and the max coin limit on Bitcoin. That is the premise here. And then lastly, I'm going to go over the initial bylaws, which are very short. Is that the initial board shall consist of the people on this call and shall have the power to propose and ratify bylaws until such time as the first election occurs. So that's a special bootstrap scenarios that we will have the ability to adjust these things. And all new members, all new members must be invited by 3 existing members on video, and the new member must read and agree to the peace treaty and agree to follow community bylaws as enacted by the representative leaders. So that is, in a single page, the entire governance structure of the Eden community. And I'd like to open it up to any questions anyone may have.
I have a quick question. Hi, everyone. It's Galia from Bancor. Does the number 10K for the Fractal communities need to be hard coded, or could it start as 10K but be up for vote or change?
The number 10K is derived from a combination of factors, including Dunbar's number, and also most of the municipalities in Switzerland are less than 10K. So there's real limits in the size. There will be many, many Eden communities. This is just the first one. And then eventually we'll have communities of communities with people specializing in China, in Germany, and so forth. So, and ultimately those communities will work together, but they will be independent, autonomous communities, all following the same process. And then, so this, you can view this as we're creating one country, and there'll be many other countries, and then we'll have a democracy of democracies as they all work together. And that will be the process of growing. The details about why we need to limit the size are expounded upon in my book in greater details, but effectively that is a hard limit, like the block limit.
Do all communities have to have the same peace treaty?
Well, for purposes of this community is, once we have a community, then we can, as a community, decide to join a bigger community, just as us individuals are choosing to join. And since we don't all necessarily have the same internal personal governance system for our lives, different communities can have different governance systems as long as they agree to a higher level treaty of treaties. But it's beyond the scope of this group to define what the subsequent groups and higher organizations will look like. But in general, it should be fractal in nature, as in this is a community of people, then we'll have a community of communities.
I've got a quick question, Dan. You specify the number 12 as an upper bound. I was wondering, is there a lower limit as well for the group size, like 7 to 12, or is there any notion of lower limit? That's
subject to the bylaws. And I guess we did not specify what the actual limit would be here. So that will have to be ironed out. I do have a poll going. It looks like it might either be 5 of 7 or 7 of 10 are the two that are the most popular at the moment. Okay. So what we're going to be doing over the course of the next couple months is this group will be responsible for inviting additional members to join Eden. And when we do that, you'll get on a Zoom call with 3 other people from this group. There is a Telegram chat that everyone here should be added to, so that you can help coordinate these calls if there's someone you'd like to invite into the community. This is an unstated rule, as we didn't write it there, but the idea is that each of us should only appear in at most 15 videos with other people, so that as we grow, we don't have like one of us inviting 100 people and then just dominating the community DNA, so to speak. And once we get to 100 people in the group, which means on average, each of us will have to invite 5 people, non-overlapping, or I guess 4 people, because we have 20 now. That will get us to 100. We will do the first HiGov experiment and establish the leadership from among this group. So that's the rough agenda.
Dan, do you want to mention the video, that we'll get a video out to everybody as soon as possible, and how to run one of
Sure.
these?
All right, thank you. One of I, along with a couple other people that have been working full-time to organize this, will be inviting a couple people. We will record a video and send it out as a demonstration for anyone who's curious about what an invitation video could look like. The main point of the video is that we want to verify that the people are real. We want to know, why you're inviting them, and most importantly, that the person there is agreeing to the peace treaty here. The peace treaty is intentionally minimal because the primary goal is simply to capture make sure that the governance of Eden represents the people that are members of Eden. Now, what that means is that the people we invite are going to change the consistency of the makeup of Eden. So if we invite a bunch of people that are pro proof of work and think everything should be decided by proof of work, then that might not necessarily be aligned with the intent of code as law mindset that we have, right? So keep in mind that culture matters as you're inviting people, because the only thing this Eden process attempts to guarantee is that the consensus outcome is representative of the people, and that the people that are members of Eden have retained the ability to change the consensus without incumbents or secret power structures gaining hold of the organization. So this is really about protecting the ability of us to reach a new consensus without it becoming captured. Because the ability to affect change is what actually empowers each of us as individuals. And so if we lose that ability to make change, then that's how systems start to decay. They also decay when you have a whole new culture, like immigrate into your country without any checks or balances as well. So please be mindful that the people you are inviting believe in the process and whatnot. And if anyone here has reservations about the process or the peace treaty, then you're free to leave before we do the ratification. Any other questions?
Han here. You were going to make this as a immutable consensus, but then later you changed this into a peace treaty that can be amended by 2/3 + 1 vote.
Yes. So I made that change because at the end of the day, nothing is immutable. It's always possible to change by a consensus of the people. Effectively, upon thinking about it further, there are certain assets, branding, names, real estate, like any community of people have certain things that if they want to change, well, they could just go form a new community, but then who gets the old assets? So if 2/3 agree to change it, then they get to keep the brand and everything else associated with it. And the other 1/3 who disagree can secede and form their own entity. It's practically immutable because getting 2/3 of the people to agree to anything is basically impossible. But I did want to leave the possibility open for if 7,000 people all agreed to change the peace treaty, then it's as if everyone moved to a new country and inherited the resources of the new country, of the old country.
Also, I wonder, like, is there anyone besides me whose first language is not English in this group?
So that
Sure,
would
yeah.
be Mateus and Yves. Anyone else? Okay.
First language Hebrew, guys.
All right. So this particular organization is going to be granted great power, hopefully, by the block producers who will hopefully bless us with a budget from EOS inflation to use that budget to enhance the adoption of EOS as a currency and the network as a whole. So this is a great honor, great power, and great responsibility associated with being in this organization. Transparency is key, which is why we're recording videos about the entire process. So any other questions or concerns that we can clear out before we have everyone give a 30-second introduction and affirm that they agree to the peace treaty?
I do have a question. I think it was addressed, but I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. There are community members that are using pseudonyms. And I think you said that essentially Eden is okay with pseudonyms, and as long as they show up on camera so we can verify they're real individuals. Has there been talk about whether or not the opposite would also be true, where I know you as whatever, let's say you're Bytemaster, nobody knew who really Bytemaster was, but you come on as Eden and you actually say, hey, my name's Dan, but you don't tell anybody that you're really Bytemaster, but the person who invited you knows.
Yeah, so if you're participating, you can participate under whatever pseudonym you want. And it can be linked to other things, and whether or not people want to disclose the link between those identities is between you and them. Because I deny that I was Bytemaster if I was trying to keep it secret, and then it'd be up to my word versus your word. That was the case if I was trying to maintain that. Ultimately, we have to be aware that if someone's operating under a pseudonym and you're inviting them, you're taking a lot of personal responsibility, because if they don't abide by the bylaws, right? The bylaws might include things like not accepting bribes or something like that, or attending meetings, right? That if they're not participating accordingly, then we're going to start asking questions. And if it's just one person, great. But if there's a pattern of inviting a whole bunch of people that are toxic, then it might actually impact your membership in the organization. Yes, Ben.
On that note, will there be a way that we can track who in particular vouched for new members?
Sure. So every single person on this call who ratifies the peace treaty, we're going to be issuing an NFT. So basically, the analogy here is we're a baseball team. When you become a member, you join the team, and we print out a baseball card with your face on it, and we issue that card to the people who were on the video call that invited you, and we auction one off to the community as a fundraising source. Those who hold the cards basically are endorsing you or want to be associated with you in some way, or they want to sponsor your membership in the organization. Those cards can be transferred. They are not, holding the card does not prove your membership. It just proves that you were a member at a certain point in time. And that card will link to the video stored on IPFS where you came into the community, which means that there will be a on-chain public record of who invited who into the community, and who's currently sponsoring it. So you might have invited someone and then decide that, you know what, I'm not going to sponsor them. I think they're going in a bad direction. You might give their card to someone else. So it can be dynamic and changing, but all those would be logged immutably on the blockchain. We are building smart contracts to automate much of this. One of the principles, though, is this is first and foremost a community of people, and we have to agree on the process. As long as we can reach consensus, the blockchain is just a tool for reaching consensus. And we will implement as much as we can on chain as time for development and tooling exists. But video conferences and making it work for the people is the primary purpose of the community.
Just a secondary follow-up question there.
Yeah.
We call that process sponsorship then, of bringing people in, or?
We can formally name it, but sponsorship, inviting, endorsement. But there's, because you were the one that said that they were a real person, said that they would abide by the peace treaty, and that they were consistent with the values. Whether you like it or not, there's going to be a little bit of holding you accountable to the rest of the community. So yeah, don't go inviting a bunch of rude, mean, nasty people into the community, because that will kill the culture. And my vision is that we create a community with a culture that is friendly, employing NVC communication to resolve disputes and to have empathy and connect with one another, so that people want to be involved, and that it's a fun experience and not a toxic experience with a bunch of infighting. People will be people, but if we do a good job, we'll create a community that people want to be a part of, a community that empowers the people that are part of it, and then we'll grow. And as we grow, the EOS economy will grow, and we will all thrive. So the premise is 1 + 1 = 3, and all of us working together are going to be producing more value for ourselves than if we all are pulling in different directions and can't reach a consensus.
So I have a question on that. As far as this treaty, I know that we're moving forward today, but is there parts of the treaty that can be unchangeable that relate to the kind of culture and how we interface with one another that are, immutable beyond the worldwide communities, that if you're a part of this, this is how we communicate and this is how we respond to things in general, just as a standard of the type of people that we attract?
At the end of the day, things are subjective. So if we try to have values like truthfulness and integrity and using nonviolent communication and all these things, the question is who's going to judge it? And the only people that can judge it are the community. So the only way we have control over those things, they can't be made immutable, because who's the judge of that immutability? We'll all disagree. If we were to put it to a vote, was somebody being rude? I don't know. Half of us think they were, half of us think they weren't. So it's really on us by who we invite and the bylaws that we enact to both judge. Are we going to have juries? Are we going to appoint people to resolve disputes? Whatever it's going to be, those will be in the bylaws, which will be immutable according to the consensus of the people in the community. And that's why it's a minimum set, because we don't want to get into a situation where people are like, well, what's integrity and what's truth, and all those things can start to unfold. If we can agree at the very, very minimum, this is the process of how we pick our leaders, this is the process of how we do the election so that it protects our ability to reach consensus, then the outcome is going to be a consensus that hopefully mirrors the general culture and values of the members. And if we start inviting members that corrupt that, then over time, that consensus could start corrupting it. So it's very important that we protect our identity as a community. And we probably do want to move toward establishing some bylaws and some standards to ensure that if someone is impersonating or talking trash or some other way that reflects poorly upon the Eden community, that that we have a process for addressing it, asking them to correct it, and if necessary, removing them from the community. Because the ability of an organism to defend itself against invasion of cancer cells or things that aren't part of its DNA does define its success and its survival. And we've got a very strong group of people here that really believe in EOS, believe in decentralization, believe in independence. And a lot of people here are trusted with people's keys and monies and wallets and block production. There's a lot of trust in this room. As we grow, we want to make sure that we maintain that trust and that we build a reputation. Because every single person here, once you have your NFT out there and you're representing the community, the rest of the crypto world is going to start to notice, oh, you're in the Eden community and you're doing what now? And that starts to reflect badly on the whole. And if we want people to join and we want to say, well, I really want to be part of it, each one of us is an example, and the people we invite also reflect on the community. So that's just the nature of things. Any other questions? All right, if there no goes Dominic, you about to say?
I just want to mention, do you want to mention the just a quick, like, trying to get to the 130 days? And we'll send out more roadmap, but just so everybody kind of has an idea.
I believe I identified that earlier, but yeah, we do have a goal to get to 100 people in the next 30 days or so. And that's going to require a lot of us to do a lot of proactive inviting, Zoom meetings, recordings. And I've got a team that's going to be manually trying to pump out these NFTs for all those members. The reason I want to get to that 100 is so we can actually do a dry run of HiGov. We can test it on Zoom. We can work out all the kinks, and we can establish, I guess, a bit of delegated authority of members in the community, so that we can start acting in a more coordinated manner instead of a very flat organization or with, I guess, an implied authority structure or influence structure. But getting to a point where there's a little bit more structure in 100 days in the next 30 days is the goal. I did set the goal of 1,000 members by July 4th. And I'd like to get as close to that as possible, but if July 4th is the Independence Day, the day that we elect the people that would be awarded the first budget from the EOS.io RAM fee account, the more people that are involved in that process, the more legitimate the process is, the more decentralized the funding will be. So that is a goal. It's an ambitious goal, but crypto doesn't stand still, and that's why we are moving quickly. We're not going to allow perfection or elegance or all those things to get in the way of getting stuff done. And that's why we're here on this call getting stuff done. All right. Thank you, everyone. So what I'm going to do now is go through the Zoom meetings and ask each one of you to introduce yourself for in 30 seconds or less, and state whether or not you agree to the peace treaty. Any objections to moving there before I kick that off? All right, Annabella, your top right corner, or left corner.
Okay, my name's Annabella. I've been in the EOS community since before launch, so way back when, like really 2018. I've been following Dan since about 2017, so I was late to the game, but I was very inspired. I have a digital marketing background coming from owning an agency, and so when he showed me that blockchain was able to empower the individual creator of content, I realized, having worked in advertising, how powerful that was. And so I was very intrigued. I put a lot of my heart and soul into the launch and being a part of the EOS community. I came as a block producer and just, I guess, community leader, some people had said before. I've been working actively in a lot of EOSIO projects since then. That's been my full-time job, and I've worked on other chains and other projects as far as like enterprise blockchain solutions and stuff that use EOSIO. So I'm heavily dedicated to the software, and I'm just really excited that this is coming full circle. We're getting back to the fundamentals of the reason a lot of people joined EOS was life, liberty, property, a new way of governance, a new way of proving a system that doesn't have to be corrupted, that can scale and that can be worldwide. I have a lot of great friends in this community that I've met through being a part of it, and I'm just really grateful to be here. So I'll be helping any way I can, and I'm just full of gratitude right now. So thanks for letting me be a part of it. I'm really excited about everybody that's involved. So.
And do you agree to the peace treaty?
Yes. My name is Annabella, and I agree to the peace treaty. Yeah.
All right. Beanie?
Hey everybody, Benny. I started at Bangor. That's the first job I had after getting to know Bitcoin and Ethereum back then. And as one who understood what Ethereum was and the limitation, got very excited together with the team when we found out about what EOS can become. And that's where we started with one of the top block producers on EOS. And, been through the race together with some of the people in this conversation, tried to create the first iteration of some kind of a board or foundation of something of sorts. We understood that EOS also had some issues, and that's where we built Liquid Apps to kind of cover everything that we felt is lacking on the EOSIO system as it is today. The companies existed for 2.5 years now, more than 10 employees throughout the world. Both myself and Tal, my partner in crime, have spent a lot of time trying to get EOS to a better place where we felt it can be. We still do in many ways, and that's why I'm part in this call. I'm really looking forward to see where this can go. I shared together with in a conversation with Dan my feelings until today, and I'm very much looking forward to see this, as Annabella said, going full circle and kind of allowing us as the community members or as the leaders of this community to take EOS to where it can be. And I know that a lot of us feel like governance can assist, and I think Eden is right there for that reason. It can specifically, in my view, assist with funding, but there are bigger obstacles at hand, and I would very much like to open them the way I feel about it, and to see that all of you can support the efforts forward. And after reading this, Dan, I do support the peace treaty, and thank you for inviting me to this call.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Mike? Yeah, you're on mute, Mike.
I was doubly muted. All right, great. Hey, everybody. My name is Mike Manfredi. I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013, got seriously into crypto in 2017, and then in 2018 moved to Blacksburg to work with Dan on software that supports life, liberty, property, and justice for all. And I'm very excited about Eden and what we're building. I have studied lots of philosophy and principles of economics and politics. And while that never made me popular at parties, I'm really excited about bringing all of that rigorous study to bear in the real world to make a better situation for humanity. So really excited to be here. And my name is Mike Manfredi, and I approve the peace treaty.
Robert?
Hey all, Rob Consdorf here, also known as Rob Rigo. I've been working in crypto since about 2013 as a hobbyist. My journey down the rabbit hole was actually following along on BitSharesTalk.org back in that day. And I just realized I felt there was a lot here, even in those early days, regarding how we could leverage these tools to change some of the perversions in society today. And my background, went to school in Flint, work around Detroit. We started our own bootstrapped block producer startup in March of 2018. Before that, I was a software engineer for a few startups around here and trained in computer science. So product development is more of my passion and my focus. However, I've learned all the things to run a BP as well and still learning. And we've also scaled our team so I can hire people smarter than me to do some of those things. And we're currently working on our first incubated product, which is a NFT startup that'll be announced later this year. But I'm really excited for this personally, as someone who has always wanted to see things progress, especially from a societal level, and seeing sort of, internally as an American, the feeling of not having representation or seeing crumbling neighborhoods, not knowing how we can fix this. I feel like this is the beginning of that journey in a lot of ways, even just focusing on EOS's problem, but testing this model, as Dan states in his book. And I'm just really excited to be a part of it. So thanks for the invite. My name is Robert Consdorf, and I approve the peace treaty.
Brock? You're currently muted. There you go.
I'm muted now. This is Brock Pierce, also known as Braulio Percevales. I've been working with digital currencies and goods since the late 90s. I acquired Brendan Bloomer's business that moved into Hong Kong when he was 18. I've been actively involved in the development of this ecosystem for quite a while. A few of the notable blockchain venture fund in the space that funded the Coinbases, the Krakens, and many, many others. That's on its fifth fund. Was the founding chairman of Mastercoin, where we invented the ICO. Co-founder of Tether, where we invented the stablecoin. Started the first crypto bank. Created the first security token with BCAP. And I've been involved with bringing Brendan into the business over the years that led to the creation of Block One. And I am so honored and grateful to be here with each of you as we turn a new page, enter a new chapter in the birthing of Eden. And I'm just, when all hope was lost, it's never lost. And here we are. And again, I'm Brock Pearson. I agree to this peace treaty.
Thank you, Brock. Ben?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Dan, for everything you're doing. I'm Ben Siegmann. I am a lifelong technologist. In high school, I was building circuits and things in BASIC and Visual Basic, and I've been working in technology basically my whole life. I was I got into Bitcoin in 2012, actually, when I started mining small fractions of Bitcoin and Litecoin on my laptop. And since then, it's just been an amazing journey that led me to EOS right before the mainnet launch. where I was involved in a bunch of different things behind the scenes and also writing articles and scripts and contributing to Codebase to help get block producers onboarded and then coordinating the launch of the mainnet. And now I'm full-time at Make Sense Labs, where we've created EOS chat and Sense chat, really geared around very much thinking about how communities gather online, identify each other, vouch for one another, and bring in new members. And I'm just very excited about the potential of Eden because, as Dan says, the means must justify the means, not the ends. And I'm excited also to bring in a lot of good members. So I agree to the peace treaty.
Thank you, Ben. Brandon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Lovejoy. I first got involved in the blockchain cryptocurrency space with Dan's first project, which was then ProtoShares, became BitShares, and similar to Rodrigo, was deep down the rabbit hole with BitShares Talk forums, where got my crypto education and dove into all sorts of economic and philosophical discussions. My background is in film and video production, audio production, bunch of other stuff. I'm a bit of a generalist, so kind of all over the place. I call myself a geek by osmosis. I've been messing around with Linux since I was a young person, but you wouldn't want me in charge of any critical infrastructure. Yeah, really inspired by this whole process of Eden. I read Dan's book and I was very moved to be a part of making sure that this technology or this consensus process was available to the entire world, not just crypto. I've spent the last several years, I was an early member of EOS Detroit, where I ended up being the director of communications. And since then, I've really just been trying to articulate the ways in which we can use blockchain technology to serve humanity and to serve all people, as opposed to just having technology for big gains or technology's sake. So written a series on voice, and I've written and contributed on Steemit and Hive as well over the years. And yeah, I think that about sums it up. So very excited to be here and honored to be among such esteemed company. And I agree to this peace treaty.
Thank you, Brandon. Ray, you're up.
Let me unmute myself. There we go. Yeah, my name's Ray Schilling. Yes, that is a noun, not a verb. I don't shill anything, and that is my real name, which has been a little bit unfortunate in the blockchain space. So I go by Ray S now on there because I don't want anybody to think that I'm doing anything nefarious. Anyway, so let's see, really quick summary. Engineering by training, UC Berkeley. I got out with a master's, went through a number of different startups actually, did a series of startups in software and one in hardware. In about 2009, got into the renewable energy space and also sustainable transport, so electric vehicles. Working there for about 5-6 years. 2017, we naturally got into the energy blockchain. So I worked at the joining of energy and blockchain. And so in 2017, I was working on Ethereum blockchain projects for energy. And then we realized very quickly that there were going to be some limitations. You cannot make small transactions in the IoT space. We need high TPS, we need high performance. And found EOS very quickly after that, saw Dan's talk. Thank you, Dan, for that in Virginia. And found myself nodding to everything you were saying. And so I said, wow, I got to check this out. Went to EOS and I've never looked back. Now just started up in 2018. I did the EdenOS offering, which was a way to try to introduce the concept to the market. It was a little early back then, so trying again now. Here we are in 2021, going to be sort of rekindling that possibly later this year. Very proud and honored to be part of this group. And thank you to everybody for having me. And again, my name is Ray Schilling, and I approve this peace treaty, and I agree to it.
All right. Thank you, Ray. Crystal.
Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Rose, and I'm here with my chestahedron and decatria. I am the founder of Make Sense Labs, and I have been working with Ben since the genesis block of the EOS network, and even before when we were preparing. And I'm very grateful that Ben joined the team because he's been leading the development of our products as we evolve through this space. I've also been a technologist my whole life, and we've been working through different blockchain technologies, and I was so excited that the EOS network was launching to solve a lot of our problems. Ben also helped to launch what we called ERC 20 to EOS 21 teleport system, which was an open source way for people to move their tokens or their ICOs off of Ethereum onto the EOS network. And we have been around the world joining different groups and block producers. I ran the EOS block producer with 10 women total in the space, and got to meet a lot of you and a lot of other really amazing, incredible people who have been working diligently to keep improving this blockchain. I'm very happy that we have found a new beginning. And so I'm very excited to be a part of it. I'm really happy to contribute. And we're looking forward to V3 of Sense Chat. We've had an evolution from EOS Chat to Sense Chat, and now we're in complete alignment with the thinking around governance. Vouching has been our model all along, and I'm just excited to see this experiment be the one that really, really works. I'm a huge fan of Dan's work, and I'm really happy that I get to be involved. So thank you so much for including me with this founding group. You can find me on Sense Chat at Crystal. I'm really happy to have conversations there so that it's private. And also on Telegram, you'll see me in the group. I'm on all of the tools just because I think we won't be able to ditch traditional social media anytime soon, but it's great that we are sort of paving the way for the evolved future. So again, my name is Crystal Rose Pierce, and I agree to the peace treaty.
Hun? You're muted.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Han Ru, like a Street Fighter Ru. I'm from South Korea, and I bought my first Bitcoin back in 2013 while I was working for startup incubator established by a bunch of banks in Korea. And then the first company that I invested in was Korea's first crypto exchange called Corbit. That's when I bought some Bitcoin. But then I didn't realize its potential, and I sold everything in early 2017 at 2000. So I felt so happy. And that year I went to Burning Man with the money that I sold Bitcoin. And then that's when I realized that Bitcoin has this potential to change everything. So I decided to go full-time with crypto, and I ended up meeting Brock in Korea. I cannot tell all the details in this call, but then it was the most craziest moment in my whole life. This is such a shocker to meet Brock in Korea, and I digging up what Brock is up to, and I ended up finding Dan's articles and EOS. And I found the article so profoundly, is so profound, and it so resonated with what I've been thinking. So I knew that moment that is worthwhile to dedicate at least like 5-10 years of my life. But then the past 2 years hasn't been that easy. That has been lots of struggles, especially when Dan announced that he's resigning his title from CTO of Block One. I thought I was going to kill you then. But then later, seeing your articles about and your vision of Eden I was so excited and I've been so happy, and I feel something very, very strong feeling that there is something amazing is going to born out of this thing. So I'm feeling so energized and I'm so excited to be part of all this process. And I don't know, I just feel something's going to born out of this thing. It's not just about EOS, but then it's going to have some big impact even outside of the blockchain world, especially when my long-term goal out of EOS is actually building a chartered city, self-sustainable chartered city in my hometown, where my family lineage is from. So I was planning to build a cannabis farm because I thought it was going to generate lots of money to sustain local economy. So I'm working on that, and actually the city is just become a regulation-free zone, and I'm building a supply chain management system on EOS.io. And then I think we're gonna build deploy a local currency. We are thinking about to launch a local currency also. So there's a lot of dots to connect with EOS and the democratic governance model that we are applying here. So I'm so excited. And my name is Hanyu again, and I approved this peace treaty. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Todd.
I'm Todd Fleming. I'm a computer engineer, and I love exploring and developing new technologies. And Block One just happened to open up in the area where I live. So I joined Block One as an engineer there, eventually became a lead engineer working on EOS.AO and other projects. And now I'm with Dan again, also as a lead engineer. And I'm really excited about where this will go and where Clarion will go. So I'm Todd Fleming, and I approve this peace treaty.
Thank you, Todd. Zach, you're up.
All right, so I'm Zach Gall. I've been part of the EOS community since 2017. I used to work as a project analyst for a company called ICO Alert, and at that time, we're getting dozens of ICOs in every day. My job was to kind of filter research and collect a bunch of data points on them. We also spun up some content we were doing for web content as part of our marketing arm. I worked there with a fellow named Rob Finch, and he was the one who introduced me to EOS. And after reading what everyone else was doing and doing it on Ethereum at the time, it just didn't seem possible. Like Dan, you, Brock, Brendan, like you guys with the videos and everything and the talks you gave early on, you really inspired me. And Rob and I basically every single day we sat next to each other and we would just talk about EOS all day long, all day long, all day long. And then March 2018, I believe, February 2018, Rob came back from the first ever block producer meetup that EOS New York hosted. They were the first block producer to announce. When Rob came back, he said, Zach, do you want to do a podcast about EOS? And at the time, like we already had a couple podcasts on our channel for that company at the time, but I never wanted to do anything like that. But literally all we did was we started recording our conversations that we were having every day. And over the last like 3 years, I skipped over a few things, but EOS was magical at one time. At one time, EOS was super magical. I think everyone in this room was there for it. And I don't think any of us would be here anymore if you didn't remember the spark that everyone had in like 2017, 18 and going into 19. But sometime late to like halfway, like after B1 June, it seemed like things just kind of fell off. Things got dark. EOS kind of lost its way, lost its narrative. And my role in the EOS community this entire time since pre-mainnet launch has been pretty much the storyteller of EOS. My job is to communicate with the community, to filter out all of the noise, and it was at certain points there was just so much to keep up on that like it was almost like my duty to give it to everyone. What I thought was important, I shared. But I'd say over the last year, it's been hard. I think everyone could agree it was kind of directionless, dark. But people like Eve on this call, he helped me get it through. Also Benny with Liquid Apps. So the fact that I was employed by Liquid Apps meant that I could put food on my table while still being a full participant in EOS full time, doing what I love, while also building interoperability and scalability solutions for EOS. And I mean, I've met almost every one of you guys on this call. Some of my best friends I met through EOS. Literally, I probably have about 5 different private group chats with just my closest friends, and they're all online friends, and they're all people I've met at EOS hackathons, EOS events. So whenever Dan, I agree with Han, when Dan resigned from Block One, it's like, man, this has already been kind of hard. Now like what's left? And then out of nowhere, like a phoenix rising, he just shows up in the community, and all of a sudden it's like seriously like a 360 to 180, whatever we want to call it, just a total shift. And the magic, it's almost like right now in the last month and a half, I'd say, the magic that I remember from 2017, 2018, all the way leading up to B1 June, it's like you could feel it again, because really everyone always just wants hope. They want something to look forward to. They want something to work for, and they want to be part of something. And for a while, EOS was directionless. We're like, what is EOS? Like, what are we trying to do here? And a lot of it was like lack of funding, a lot of BPs just barely not being able to do it full time. But I feel like we're about to turn a corner between Eden and the first political playoff, and how it's going to empower over 100 people with a lot of ability to change things in a way that people have talked about for years, but never were able to necessarily. And then on top of that, at the same time, maybe a month or two later, after the political playoff, we'll have the grant portal that Yves LaRose and EOS Nation are currently building. So between those two things, I think the incentives are about to be aligned here. We're about to see a lot of shit getting built again. I think as one of the community manager and the partnership leader of Liquid Apps, trying to work with projects building on EOS and EOS.io, it's been hard. It's slowed down. It slowed down a lot. Projects went to where the money is. They went to Polkadot. They went back to Ethereum. But now I think we're going to start seeing projects coming back to EOS, and I think we're going to start seeing a lot of innovation. And I think out of Eden and everything that all of the people that are going to win in the first tier, and then also with the Gitcoin-like portal, there's going to be so many stories to tell. And that's my part I'm looking forward to the most, is shaping the narrative of EOS. And each person who makes it through one round of the political playoffs is going to be someone that we're able to follow. And I have a platform that I will allow people to follow them through. And I just can't wait to tell these stories. And I'm blessed to be with all of you. I think I've met almost every one of you in real life at some point at one of the EOS events. And once again, I am Zach Gall, and I approve this peace treaty.
Thank you very much, Zach. I'd like to remind everyone this is supposed to be a 30-second introduction.
I know, sorry about that.
I know that we are, it's really good, and we're all enjoying everyone's stories, but thank you very much. Dominic.
Hello, everyone. My name's Dominic Thomas. Just quickly, my introduction to cryptocurrency was 2010. I was learning how to build computers because my father's a crazy gamer in like his 60s, and he had a broken machine, and I'd never done it before. And then I ran across these gaming groups, and they were, talking about Bitcoin. And the first thing I saw was the social experiment, more so than the financial revolution. I mined for a while, didn't hold them as most people's story, but then I had a career in medicine, decided that I really wanted to be involved in technology. I wanted to have a bigger impact, and I wanted a little more freedom than having to be tied to a clinic. So I came over to EOS. I came over to blockchain, was with one startup for 6 months as a COO, and then started up Werbly. And that's how I got involved with EOS. We were the, first announced sister chain, or one of, I guess, us and Wax. And I really felt that there was going to need to be some identity solution for financial inclusion, so that we could bring some global fintech, which a lot of people are doing now, which is great. Warbly became UX Network, and so I do help them out some, but I don't have a direct role anymore. That's handled by a VC and investment bank. So I came across Eden, and with an undergrad in poli-sci, and just Dan's core values and vision, I'm ready. I'm ready for the revolution. I'm working full time right now. I'll figure it out, and I really hope that we can take this experiment really, really far. I appreciate everyone here. Thank you for having me, and I approve the peace treaty.
Yves?
Hello, my name is Yves Lahose. I am French, Canadian, and First Nations. And that really drives why I'm here. As a First Nation in Canada, I'm a child of the state. I do not have my own identity. I essentially belong to the government. So that kind of led me to Bitcoin decentralization. I started building my first computer when I was 6. I got into Bitcoin in 2010 while I was living in Asia and Japan, lived there for a period of time. Fast forward, EOS, block producer. We've been producing on multiple EOS IO chains, including the mainnet. We, as EOS Nation, are in a way the last remaining block producer from at least anybody on this call in the ranks. And we've been essentially holding down the fort for a moment like this to come about. So we never stopped that. We never stopped fighting. We tried to reignite the magic on multiple occasions, literally. And it did not necessarily work out until the stars aligned once more. And here we are today. So we're, as a block producer, obviously in a position to be able to help affect change for the good for EdenOS more specifically, and looking forward to how we can support, which we already have, but more so, more directly, more tangibly over the next little while, essentially bridge the gap between, or bridge the East and the West, which has been something that is part of our reality within EOS. So that is one role that we intend on fulfilling and helping out with. And to keep it short, I'm Yves Lahose, and I endorse, support, and approve the peace treaty.
Thank you very much. Galia?
Hey everyone, this is Galia Ben-Artzi. I am based in Tel Aviv. I'm one of the co-founders of Bancor Protocol, along with Eyal Herzog, who was trying to get it into the Zoom link. I think he's listening to us here. I hope that's okay, Dan. We were with you today when you sent the invite. Bancor Protocol was founded in 2016. We launched our token in 2017, just a week before the EOS mainnet launch. So we see ourselves as kind of sibling tokens, if you will. That was a crazy time. Bancor was founded in order to allow for the multi-currency world that I think many of us believe in and are heading towards. It was at the time the only way to achieve truly decentralized liquidity from any coin to any coin. Before that, we had stumbled upon the work of Bernard Lietaer, which I'll just drop for everyone in case you're not familiar. He's the author of The Future of Money, The Mystery of Money, Money and Sustainability, works that really put us onto why a multi-currency world could be more fair and balanced and abundant. Bancor is one of the first developers to support EOS and build a bridge from Ethereum to EOS. And we're really excited about seeing that future that we believed in still come about. So thanks everyone for having me. I'm lucky to have really great and close and dear friends and colleagues in this group. I'm Galia Ben-Artzi, and I approve of the peace treaty.
Aaron?
My name is Aaron Cox, and just to get it out of the way early, I approve of this peace treaty. I am a longtime software developer. I came out of the gaming industry. I focused on content and community platforms. And so with blockchains being large community platforms, it immediately kind of drew me in. Crypto in general, I started in 2011-ish, and like the story you keep hearing, you didn't hold on to it throughout that time, but I got involved in governance in Steam in 2016, and kind of migrated over to EOS at the launch, just because it became a more generalized platform for other community type stuff. And the need that I kind of identified when I got into it was key management, authentication, signing, like the way that people join these communities and interact with these communities. And so since then, I've been, working in that space. Was one of the founders of Greymass. We are also a VP on the EOS mainnet, some of the other EOS IO chains. Hoping to eventually start really dogfooding all these technologies we're creating and build great apps, including, the tools we need to make Eden type communities actually very approachable. So.
All right. Thank you, Aaron.
Yep.
Tejas, last but certainly not least.
Thanks, Dan. I'm Matias Romeo. I'm from Argentina. English is not my primary language, and you're realizing now why. I got into crypto in 2011, first learning about Bitcoin. I won't make the story short. Then I ran into BitShares. A friend of mine in the Latin American Bitcoin conference told me, hey, have you looked at BitShares? I said, I'm not. Okay, you should look at. I went into BitShares talk. I spent like 3 weeks reading and not understanding anything until I started to understand some stuff. I got really amazed by the technology and the ideas that Dan was putting forward there. So we started developing a mobile wallet there. And since then, I have been like following what this technology, this DPoS technology. We love it really much. In fact, we launched a mutual credit system in Argentina that is currently it's being used in 7 provinces of Argentina on a daily basis. It's still running on BitShares, and we have also started replicating that onto Uruguay, Colombia, Ecuador, and Chile. So we are also thinking of porting that to EOS, but we are a small team. I'm also founder of the blog producer from EOS Argentina. We helped launch the EOS mainnet, and I have also had the pleasure to work 1 year in Block One at the very beginning of the protocol development. So I wanted to say that also we are really happy to have you back, Dan, in the community. The energy is feeling different, and all the people start getting excited again, and thank you for coming back to the EOS community. We were missing you a lot. And my name is Matias Romeo, and I agree with the terms of the peace treaty.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I guess I should introduce myself. I realize I skipped that. I'm Dan Larimer. I'm the founder of BitShares, Theme, and EOS, and I agree to the peace treaty. So thank you all for coming here today, for helping change history. That's what we're doing right here. So I'm not going to hold you any longer than necessary. The peace treaty has been adopted. Each of you, if you could please post the image that you would like on your NFT. It should be a recognizable version of yourself. We have an Eden members Telegram chat. If you're not in that, we'll make sure you get in there. Please post it there, and we'll use that to create the NFT. If you do not post it, we will be taking a screenshot from this video call for your NFT. So beware. And thank you guys so much. And let's get this party started.